Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. I want to bring the most important history in life. I'm current Zifa Angelina with last student number 138, and today we're going to uncover the story of the Opium War, and it is a conflict that not only reshaped China but also changed the course of global history. So let's take a journey back to the 19th century. The world in the early 1800, in the early 1800, China was one of the world's largest and rich empires. Under the Qing dynasty, it produced goods that Europe craved: silk, porcelain, and especially tea. So the British were obsessed to China's tea, and demand was booming. But there was a catch. China didn't want much from Britain in return. Instead, the Chinese to payment in silver, which drained Britain's silver reserve and caused a huge trade imbalance. So, how did the Britain solve this problem? The answer lies in one word. It is opium. Opium. The opium is a narcotic made from poppies. The British East India Company produced it in large quantities in British controlled India, and British merchants soon realized that smuggling opium into China could balance their trade. They have sell opium for silver, and then they use silver to buy tea and other goods. Wow! By the 1830, opium addiction in China had become a massive social crisis. Millions of people were addicted, families were ruined. The Chinese economy was suffering. The Qing government tried to stop it. In 1839, Emperor Daogong appointed Lin Xiu, a determined and respected official, to crack down on the opium trade. Lin sent a strong letter to Queen Victoria, asked her about to stop this opium trade. But he never got a reply, anything. The Qing government tried to stop it, and Lin then took direct action in Canton, or what we now call Guangzhou. He confiscated and destroyed over 20,000 chests of opium, that's thousands of tons, dumping it into the sea. So now we talk about the First Opium War. The First Opium War is the destruction of opium outraged the British merchants and government. They saw it is some violation of trade rights and private property. In late 1839, British sent it is to Navy to China. The First Opium War began when the British had advanced steam-powered gunboats and modern weapons. China, despite its size and population, had outdated ships and cannons. The battles were one-sided. The British attacked China's ports, captured key cities, and sailed up major rivers. By 1842, China was forced to surrender. The Treaty of Nanjing. The war ended with the Treaty of Nanjing, the first of many so-called unequal treaties. Under this treaty, China paid a large identity into Britain, and 5 ports were open to British merchants, and British citizens in China gained special rights. They weren't subject to China's law. And perhaps most famously, China ceded Hong Kong to Britain. This marked it is the beginning of what the Chinese later called the century of the humiliation, a period of foreign domination and internal decline. After that, it is not end, so it just not end, but tension continued. So the Second Opium War broke out in the 1850 century, further weakening China's sovereignty. Other Western powers and Japan soon joined in the forcing China into unfair agreements. For China, the Opium Wars were a painful lesson in the dangers of foreign imperialism. For Britain and other colonial powers, it was a way to secure profits and influence, no matter the cost to others. Why does this matter for today? So the legacy of the Opium War is still felt today. So they shape modern China distrust of foreign powers. They also remind of how greed and addiction and imperial ambition can devastate nations. When we hear about China rise today or its focus on sovereignty and strength, the shadow of the Opium Wars still lingers behind those policies. And that's the story of the Opium War. It is a conflict driven by trade, drugs, and empire. Thanks for joining me today on Clarence Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, you want to subscribe and share it with others, people who love history. Until next time, keep asking questions and keep exploring the past. See you. Bye-bye.